So we should be live now. So, hello everyone, and welcome to this get together where Gary and I are, I suppose, doing some sort of a summary and insight to the journey through India that he was. Let me just, there we go, just taking off the sound of the YouTube. Um, Sorry about that. So Gary and her family were so kind to host me in India. We did a little bit of teaching. We did quite a bit of traveling, a lot of soul searching, a lot of activations, and some of you were so kind as to follow the journey. But now we're kind of going to do a debrief, and I'm so grateful for you, Gary, in a sense that of documenting our trip, because if it was up to me, most of it wouldn't be documented. So thank you for allowing that opportunity to share with everybody our trip. So yeah, how did it feel? What were your impressions? Like, yeah, where do we start? I suppose we start at the beginning, right? So what were your
Yeah.
thoughts? Yeah.
I think if we go back to the beginning, it was more like I was preparing for you to come. And I
Mhm.
remember my mom asking me, what does she eat? And I'm like, I don't know. I've never eaten with her. So, because we were more worried about, what is the spice levels? What are you going to be able to handle? Because India is filled with curry options and the spices over here are not going to be reasonable with you. So I was just like, I really don't know. And I'm going to figure this out when she comes in. So for me, it was more of a prep to see when you come in because you were very kind. You're like, I'll eat anything, and I'm like, no, no, no. I need like, what are your markers? How much can you handle? So I remember the first day when you came in, we went to this thali restaurant, and thali basically is a big platter of different curries put together, and you have few different types of breads. You have a variety of rice options in it, and a few finger bites to eat with it. So when I saw you enjoy the food, I was just like, okay, yeah,
Mm.
she can handle food. She can handle spices in India. So I'm not worried. So after that, I think it was a cakewalk to just like literally take you to places and be like, hey, do you want to try this? And you were honestly very how do I say this? You were very optimistic about trying all different types of food and knock on wood, we did not get like an upset stomach anywhere. Both of us, we were doing really well.
Yeah, well, no, we did do really, really well. And the beautiful thing is that that I noticed as well is, I'm part of a conscious podcast, a conscious health podcast, and a mindful leadership podcast. But I was always try and relate. For example, we look at organs and how they feel. And I remember when we were doing our Akashic workshop, I was just like, if I were to relate India to an organ, I was like, for me, it was the stomach in the sense of the nutrition, the spices, and being kind of like pescatarian, the wonderful array of options with regards to vegetarian options and protein options and all the rest of that. So I tend to look at things from that space of, the nutrition and the diversity of India, and all the rest of that. And even from the space of there's so many people, and the heat of it. Like I remember walking barefoot a lot of the times, which I'm not used to walking barefoot as much as I did, which I loved, which is beautiful for grounding. But it's interesting because of the heat so much, the barefootedness actually grounds us in because of the seat of India being spiritual. It actually grounds everybody in on that level of grounding the spirituality.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
found that to be quite fascinating. Um, So yeah, so when it came to food, and I'm Portuguese, we talk about food all the time. So I was no, I'm game for trying anything, but most importantly, I was for sure game to understand um, the different cultures, the different foods from the different places. And one of the things that I learned so much was that everything changes. The what did you say? It was, in 500 kilometer, or, everything changes. The saris, the food, the language, everything. And I wanted to try and experience as much as I could. And I was so grateful to you for showing me as much as we could within that time.
No, absolutely. First of all, like I'm honestly very grateful to you to travel all this way and to trust me that, hey, you're gonna take care of me. And I'm like, okay, that's a big responsibility, and let me take care of you. But yeah, thank you so much for coming all the way and for, making the trip and making it such a memorable trip. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
even when I go through our reels and I go through our videos and I literally just burst into laughter because of this silly things we have done, and the deep conversations we've had. Like, I don't think I've ever, when I was in Canada, we did not get that much time to really bond and connect. But in these 2.5 weeks, I've really like connected with you. Really, we've done some real deep dives in conversations in topics that I was just like, oh wow, I'd like to know the Akashic side of this. And you gave me like a debrief of everything in that. Like when I asked you a couple of questions, if we have in the few in this video, we will get to those questions as well. But it was honestly fun. And yes, like you said, every 300 kilometers the food changes, the language changes, the dialect changes, the outfits, the way people drape their saris, that changes, the fabric changes.
Hmm.
So yes, India is honestly very diverse. I have been a Gulf kid all my life. I have lived in the Gulf since my childhood, since I can remember. And when I came to India, because we used to come to India and we used to go here for, whenever we'd go here for vacation, it would be my grandma's house or my father's side, their houses, like my cousins and all those places. I never got to see India. And that's why when I moved to India, I made it a conscious effort that I'm going to start seeing my country. And last year, if you remember, I have literally been traveling every month. Whenever I got a pocket of time, I took a flight, I went to a new place, and I came back. I still have not covered India. There's so much more to see. And it just can't be like you touch and go. But in our trip, we actually did quite a bit. We saw Mumbai, we went to Nasik, and from there, we came back to Mumbai. We went to Mussoorie. Like we landed in Dehradun, we went to Mussoorie. From Mussoorie, we went to Landor. From Landor, we came back to Mussoorie, and then we headed to Rishikesh. Then from Rishikesh, we came back to Mumbai. So we did quite a bit, and you got to see a little bit of the Maharashtrian culture. You got to see a little bit of the northeastern, a pocket of the northeastern culture of India, which I was very happy about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so grateful for experiencing all of that. And one of the things that I was quite observant about when I first got to Mumbai was the level of calm in the organized chaos that is Mumbai is absolutely incredible. I felt like, especially even that I used to take taking my life into kind of like handing it over to those auto drivers where like the traffic for me was insane. From kind of like a Western culture, it's just like, oh my goodness, especially living in the UK and in Canada where everything's like seatbelts and then we get there and like, the trains don't even have doors and it's kind of like, and it reminded me of South Africa a little bit, kind of a thing, which I love that. I I love that freedom of, you take your safety into your own hands. But what I started realizing is that the thing that fascinated me was there were no accidents. Like you would think that we would drive through an accident every day. And I started to think, the level of energetic awareness on the road is incredible because everybody's hooting. Everybody's like beep 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 beep. How do you even know it's for you? It's like it's everywhere. So I was just like, oh my goodness, the level of understanding of your physical space of these drivers must be quite acute, in that sense, because you almost know where everybody is in the road and where you can fit in, which I thought was really, really interesting from that perspective. The other thing that I found about Mumbai was it was actually quite balanced in masculine and feminine energies, in the sense that I found the people to be, or at least the people that we met, quite innovative. Um, finding solutions, and perhaps just that's just the people that you hang out with, or really needing to. It felt like it was quite entrepreneurial in people starting businesses and things like that, but yet it was very, very creative in making a plan, finding a solution, making things work. And I found that to be quite beautiful in that sense of balance. Whereas when we went to Rishikesh, I found that to be more feminine, um,
Yeah.
in that flavor of that. Whereas when we were in Missouri, it was very much more masculine energy that I found within that. So I found that part of it to be quite interesting as well, which I tend to do when I travel and land in different places, is feeling into that energy. Although that conversation that we had with the beautiful twins, that was so gracious to lend us their saris, and thank you for that experience of you know wearing a sari, which was beautiful, and very humbling at the same time. Yeah, I've never felt so feminine in my life. It was beautiful, and your patience to help me drape that. Oh my goodness, I think it's a science, which is wonderful. But we started to really, when we were having that lunch after being in that pyramid, and grounding that energy, I found it quite beautiful in the sense of having those enlightened conversations when it came to business. And yes, everybody's innovative, but we're going through a phase of not doing a long-term kind of like, where's my business going to be in 5 years time, 10 years time kind of a thing. I think as general in society, we've all come very much into a very much a quick fix for now, because we're so used to moving through things so quickly. So I think we're moving into the space of becoming conscious leaders and looking at, okay, how does this affect us, you know, in 5, 10, 15 years' time? Is this still going to be sustainable? So I found that to be quite interesting in itself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I like how you explained it in a different way. Like, I've never heard this kind of an explanation of Mumbai. Like, I understand it's organized chaos, is what I say always. It's like,
Yeah.
I remember when I picked you up at the airport and we were going through our own set of chaos when we got into the wrong cab. We're coming out and we're going into another cab. And I was just like, listen, I promised you chaos. I'm delivering chaos. So yes, I literally see Mumbai as organized chaos in a very beautiful way. Um it's like the thali. You are playing with the symphony of the flavors that you want to go with. So if you see it as
Mhm.
chaos, you will only see chaos. But if you see it
Yeah.
as someone trying to get to work, someone delivering something, someone making sure that things are done, you will see it in a different way. So it's, I think, the perspective that matters, and I really liked your perspective that it's masculine, and it's got its feminine nature to it. The nourishing aspect is there because it is very true. I haven't seen, like, there are in Mumbai, I've noticed this, that if someone gets mad at you, the person who's receiving it will calm down. Be like, it's okay, it's fine. Whereas if you go anywhere else, there will be an argument that might end up happening. But in Mumbai, it's like if one person gets angry, the other person stays calm because in that madness. Also, at the same time, Mumbai is the financial capital of India. So here
Okay.
you have the most amount of millionaires and billionaires and entrepreneurs within India are from
Okay.
Mumbai. The higher percentage is in Mumbai. You also have the stock exchange in Mumbai. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of masculine energy, especially when we went to the south of Bombay.
Hmm.
There was a very firm masculine energy in that area. And when we came to Rishikesh, I completely agree with you. I think the plan for Rishikesh was to literally do nothing when we were like planning our itinerary. for Rishikesh, we were just going to go and be, and wherever we felt like going, we were going. Whereas in Missouri, there was like, okay, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, let's get this done, let's get this done, let's get this done. Let's see all these places, and then we head to Rishikesh. So I did feel the nurturing aspect, like you said. I think all both of us wanted to do in Rishikesh is go and put our feet in the Ganga and just be
Yeah,
in the Ganga. And if given a chance, I think we've done like 3 dips in the Ganga, if I'm not wrong.
yeah,
We've
yeah.
done 3 dips in the Ganga in our 5-day itinerary in Rishikesh. I mean, that's a lot. Like one day we were just literally leaving, and one day we just reached. And I think the day we reached, we walked down to the Ganga and we put our feet down in the Ganga. So it was, we did not really have an itinerary for Rishikesh, but yes, it was very nurturing.
But I think we did it in the right way, and I'd recommend that to anyone. So, with regards for me, I knew actually my body started preparing already for the trip that was coming up. And it's so interesting because for me, this year is about spiritual expansion and a lot of inner work and inner healing. So, a lot of my shadows coming up for me this year, which is kind of like great. Um, and I mean that with a pinch of salt in a sense of kind of like let's do the work, let's talk the talk, and obviously putting in the tools that I teach and putting them into place. So like anything, it's like when we're going, like if we book with a healer, or our body, our minds, our emotions start to do the work. And I started to feel that with the move the going to visit India. So before, a lot of like I knew that there was a lot that was coming up energetically, and it was actually, yeah, I was quite tired. My muscles were stressed. It felt like I was carrying a lot of heaviness with me, but all of this needed to surface until, I got to India. And I thought it was so interesting because there were a few of the temples that I got activations from, which prepared me, I think, for the dip in the Ganga, which is very much a big part of a rebirthing process. So it's
Mhm.
almost kind of like there was a lot of releasing, a lot of activations before there was a rebirth. And when I got back, there was quite a bit still of releasing and letting go because I was actually quite sick when I got back. Some people get belly belly when they go to India. No, I think after all the treatments we did in Rishikesh, when I got back, I think it's very efficient with my time because I didn't, that didn't happen when we were in India. So I got to
Yeah.
experience as much as possible. But coming home, it took quite a bit of time to integrate the work. And now I feel like I'm so energized. My business is changing. And all of that prepared me for where I'm going now in order to be able to support people on a grander level, which is beautiful. So there were quite a few spiritual learnings in that. One of those temples that we went to, it's actually the ones where I discovered or I realized the healing power of the temple in the sense of aligning the energies. Like we all go to a temple or to a church or to a sacred space to, a lot of the times it's to ask and for healing, or it's to, to make a request to a higher power. But I started to realize that with all the temples that we visited, that especially in the theme, which is why I'd ask you to, which god or goddess is this and what do they do? Because that knowledge, that wisdom, whether it was for abundance or whatever it was, the temple hold those frequencies and is really about us matching those frequencies to receive them.
Yes.
That I didn't realize. So it's almost like when we go to a healer, like the healer doesn't do the healer provides the frequency to allow for the healing. It's up to us to want to do the healing or not, but that frequency is there. And that's what I realized, that there is power in prayer and there is power in coming together as a collective, but that temples are really that holding that vibrational frequency to find that specific frequency within our own temple to match that one, which will allow for that to open up for you.
Yeah.
So which is the other thing, because in some temples I could feel the desperation of the request, but
Yeah,
not the healing, because there wasn't a match. It's because it was a belief that it was somewhere out there and not somewhere in here that we need to have a look at. So much so that we went into that one temple that you were like, oh, I can't be in there. You
yeah,
came out,
yeah.
right? So that was a profound learning from for me in that one.
I absolutely agree with you, especially when it comes to temples. I think I can sleep, I can live in temples. I enjoy temples that
Mm-hmm.
much. Just going there and sitting in meditation, opening up the Akashics, which I've learned from you. Every temple I go up and I open the Akashic. I was actually researching about that temple that you really liked, and you said I could just walk here the whole day,
Around, yeah.
circle. I researched about that temple, and that temple is actually built on sacred geometry, and it's got the masculine and the feminine so beautifully balanced in it. And I was like, no wonder, like I could also like walk there. I was literally, you were like, listen, I just need to go outside, I need to finish some work. And I was like, sure, like if you're gonna be fine, like if you know how to navigate your way,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead. I'll just sit here and meditate. And I literally did. And it was
Mm-hmm.
honestly so peaceful. And you remember how chaotic it was
Yeah,
outside? Inside, it just went quiet.
yeah,
Within the temple
absolutely,
premises, it just went quiet, and you step out of the temple and it's chaos. But within
absolutely.
the temple, it's just you, me, one priest, two ladies, that's it.
Yeah,
And it was so quiet, it was so peaceful, and it was actually built in the 1700s, that temple.
okay.
So it was really beautiful. That temple, the sacred geometry of that temple was beautiful. I don't remember what I saw in the Akashics, but it was a beautiful
Yeah.
download.
So it's so interesting that you're talking about masculine and feminine. Today being the equinox
Yes.
is the balance, perfect balance between night and day, which is the perfect balance between masculine and feminine. And I did notice those energies as I was walking through. And it's so interesting in the fact where we would go to a temple and I'd be, whose temple is this? Who is the deity? And connecting in, like, Lord Shiva was the one that kind of like really, really resonated with me. Or there was a lot of activations as well as Lakshmi. And there was another one. Remember, I had a dream about
So
them. And I was like, Vishnu. And I was like, was it Vishnu? Yeah. I was like,
yes.
who are, like, what are they? I knew them directly. And then somehow it happened that the temple that we were going to the next day had the energy frequencies and, or, represented were these gods and these goddesses as well.
We went, I honestly, let's do another video where we literally go through each temple that we went
Yeah.
to, do like a detailed conversation. So I can write down the names of the temples and stuff. But like you said, today is the equinox. So today we have this equinox between the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse, which will take place on the 29th of March, and the lunar eclipse took place on the 13th of March.
Mm-hmm.
This equinox portal is not going to take place until 2034. So it's a great
Mm,
issue. We have the masculine and the feminine energy getting balanced very beautifully. So a
absolutely.
beautiful time to manifest, a beautiful time to write down anything that you want to write, or bring into being in the next couple of years, months, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
absolutely. So, what was the biggest thing you learned about yourself in this trip?
I learned that I had a great grasp of my language. Like I told you, I honestly learned that I had a great grasp of my language. And also, I learned that I know my food really well.
Yes.
I know what foods to eat, where to go. And I was very surprised by this. It's like, oh, wow, how do I know this? Like, I keep doing a lot of research and stuff, but I understood that. And it also brought back a lot of my coordination days, production days back to me, because I have been a film producer in the past. So for me, going back into, okay, let's do this, let's do like all that coordination, speaking to the driver, getting things done, making sure things are, smooth and we are moving ahead in our journey. It was just like bringing back a lot of memory. It was like muscle memory just getting reactivated. Um, I learned that I was extremely resilient,
Mm-hmm.
and I also learned that I don't know. I never knew this about myself, but I'm extremely principled when it comes to certain things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, if you are going to take me for a ride, I'm not going to accept that. So these
Yeah.
aspects came in front of me, and boundaries, definitely learned
Mm-hmm.
back. And I also learned that it's okay to have two different personalities in the same room and not get wired up about something. Like you wake
Mm-hmm.
up in the morning and you're showered and you're ready to go, and I'm like, sorry, till my second coffee doesn't come in, I am not moving. So, and it was so beautiful. Like for the first time, I don't think there was a friction or it's like, okay, sure, I'll just go out. I'll do my morning walk. I'll do my things in the morning and I'll meet you back in the room. And I'm like, yeah, perfect. That works for me. So that gives me my space. You get your space. So I learned that that beautiful coordination can take place if you hold space for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when I wake up, I've got more energy first thing in the morning than I do at night.
Energy, I don't get it. You have a very different system, okay? You have energy after a massage, someone just goes like, okay, I am done. But no, you are like, okay, what are we doing? I'm like, what's wrong with weren't we like in the same, like we were getting the same treatments done? Like, why are you wired up? And why am I ready to sleep? So I remember I think we've done like 5 massages in this trip altogether, 5 or 6
Yeah.
massages. After each massage, you're like, okay, let's do something. I'm like, no, I am done. So for me, the first time I was just like, oh, probably, she's just, it's jet lag. Then it happened the second time. Then it happened the third time. And then we were in Rishikesh. I'm like, this is not jet lag anymore.
Do you know why I think that is? Because usually I wake up early and then I
Yeah.
have a 20-minute power nap sometimes, and then it just gets me going, like ready to go again. So I think the massages and stuff is that kind of like that little extra boost as I'm and I fall asleep sometimes for those 15-20 minutes. So it just gave me that boost that I needed to do the next little bit, which is pretty cool. Um
Yeah.
yeah, about me, I learned that I am actually quite, the more chaos there is around me, the calmer I usually tend to become, or I have started becoming like that as well. So even though I have a lot of energy, I do internally feel calm a lot of the times, especially if there's something that's gone wrong. I always know that there's a solution or a reason that it's happening for us. I know that there's like I usually tend to see things as a, oh, I wonder why this showed up for us, kind of a thing to tackle through that. So I found that to be quite interesting in a sense of, nope, everything has a solution. So we can work through this, which is awesome. Um, yeah, I also learned quite a lot. I've been on a journey of unraveling and unpacking people pleasing.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the things that was one of my aha moments in that, because there was a lot of traveling, there was a lot of like posting, or as you said, there's a lot of eyes on what we're doing. And then sometimes and it's sometimes not even on purpose, or there's a, oh, I wish I was doing that, and or a little bit of a negativity that gets thrown our way, and we would only absorb it if we have that frequency within us. So obviously it's still healing that needs to be happening. And I remember there was a stage where you said to me, should we stop posting? And I was like, no. And remember that message from the Akashic Records said, no, this is another aspect of people pleasing and making yourself small so that you don't upset somebody else or whatever it may be. It's like, no, step into your light, kind of like be the sun. It doesn't matter who's there. And you give permission for people to do the same as well, which is important. So that was another perspective that I didn't quite realize was an aspect of people pleasing, where we don't, yes, some things we need to keep to ourselves, but not stopping the enjoyment or the fun or the learning or the expansion because it might upset somebody, or it might, whatever it may be. So I found that part of me to be quite interesting as well. And it was when I got back, one of my daughters said to me, she goes, Mom, she goes, you look like you were thriving. And I said,
That's
yes, I was. Yes, I was. And that, and it may it continue. So it almost kind of like it gave that permission that it's okay to thrive, especially since the other pattern that I was working before I left was no more surviving. Now it's time for thriving. And I think I actually sent something out in my newsletter, kind of like really, really addressing that. Um, so yeah, there were a lot of learnings and a lot of observations that, came through. And it's really helping me step into my leadership. So one of the activations in one of the temples, the one that we went with your parents, where they allowed us to sit around um, for a little bit, because I'm so grateful for that, because usually people get hurried through the temple. And we had that opportunity to sit in and ground, and there were quite a lot of activations for me in that temple as well, connecting into that space of leadership with compassion as
yeah.
well. So it was quite interesting in seeing, again, connecting into Lord Shiva from a different perspective as well, and connecting into those energies and having those activations. I'm seeing them now as I'm stepping into this next phase of my life. So I'm very grateful for that.
Definitely. We had a lot of Shiv temples that it's honestly like nothing like we planned for. It just happened that
No.
we went to a lot of Shiv temples, and every temple we got activated in a different way. And I remember the Trambakeshwar temple that we went to in Nasik.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, this is the first time I've been going there since I was a kid. And this is the first time that they actually let us in to sit down, where you, me, my parents, we got to sit down in one of the corners of the temple, and sitting in this old architecture of this very old temple. I remember you and me, after the meditations that we did individually, both of us said the same thing. Like, we felt vibration through our root chakra coming up to the heart, and those activations were happening. So it was definitely one of the most powerful temples that we went to, and a very beautiful experience. I remember I got um, pulled into the shivling, got sent to the core of Mother Earth, and
Mm-hmm.
it was very powerful. The whole journey of that Akashic that I went through, and I still remember it. Like, honestly, it was very beautiful to see that. So all these temples that we went to, each temple had its own magic. It had its
Mm-hmm.
own vibrational frequency, and it had its
Yeah.
own activations that were happening on us. Um, and I feel like, honestly, this is the every time I go to a temple, I feel like I go there as one, but I'm sensing, the hands of the people who have put this together, the
Yeah.
energy, the picture. I always go and I rub my hands on that architecture, because I feel like the people who have invested their time, energy, and effort in creating this marvelous structure for us to see after so many years is still there. I think that's very powerful in itself. Like, sometimes I'm just in awe of temples. I still haven't gotten to taking you to Tamil Nadu, where you will be in all of these beautiful temples that are there in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Maybe your next trip. And
Maybe.
yeah, I like how your daughter was like, "You're thriving. That means you need to pack your bag and come back to India. Let's thrive more."
But it's true, because temples are usually built on where ley lines cross, which is kind of like very much an energetic portal or a concentration of energy, which is why they're so powerful. Plus, their structure adds in the geometric shape. Plus, if there's any other kind of like geometric shapes, I know in a lot of the Christian churches, there's stained glass window in geometric shape amplifies the energy of the temple. So, with the structures in those beautiful temples that we visited, those perfect circles bring people together. Those perfect carvings in the temples, all done individually. Um, I like you. I'm also very tactile in my hands because I absorb that energy. It's a, one hand is about receiving, the other one is about giving, and it's really, really connecting into the frequency codes of those temples. So very much tactile in feeling that, and grounding and connecting into the stone is, like you said, it's like absolutely beautiful, of the people that were there. So I found that quite interesting, and expansive in connecting into to that energy as well. So it's there's a lot of letting go, there's a lot of respect that I felt, a lot of humbling energy as well, because even doing the meditations that I did in the mornings before we left, it was just like those were incredible, in that support and that guidance, especially at the beginning when I first got there as part of that journey. It was quite beautiful to see and very, very humbling, from that. So, yeah, I just wanted to learn as much as I could, uh, while I was there, and absorb as much as I could as well, knowing that whatever needed to happen did happen.
Yeah, I think that's why it was so easy to travel with you because you were honestly going with the flow and you were just like, whatever's meant to be is just going to come up. So you don't need to worry about it. So it
Yeah.
honestly messed me up when we did have a few mishaps with the hotel reservations and stuff. You were just like very calm, very chill. And like honestly, you are a fun person. Like I have seen a different version of you when I'm studying with you. There's a different version of Natasha when she travels. And I'm just like, you should literally walk with me. Like, let's not go on that. You would get so many people in trouble and get them out.
Yeah, Kelly and I joke that she's the person that I would call if I ever get into trouble. She'll bail me out of whatever I am. She's my my one phone call
Yeah.
to bail me out. Um, yeah, and it was quite interesting to see that perspective, because a lot of the times I was told kind of like, and I think that's a misconception. And I suppose we all wear masks when we wear the different roles that we're in, and taking, like, I absolutely take my teaching quite seriously, even though I'm quite relaxed in the teachings and quite open and not very, very fixed. In that sense, I'm more kind of like, let's discover, let's question everything, but this is the knowledge and wisdom that I've, you know, come to. So I suppose some people, I've been told I'm a little bit intimidating, and I'm like, I'm just me, and then some people are like, a lot of people when they met me after COVID, they were like, oh my goodness, you're short. I thought you were a bigger person. And I was like, what are you talking about? No, they were like, no, just the energy. And I'm like, the expectations, yeah, we all play different roles at different times. When it's, I suppose, time to be semi-serious, I'm serious. But and I think that's an important thing, that people like, a lot of the times, even when I've run kind of like retreats where I tell people I've been where you are, they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, I am nobody to judge anyone, because like I've also been through a lot of stuff, kind of a thing. And it's not that I pretend that everything's like, whatever. It's just, yeah, we all do our healing, we all do our work, we all do, working through life, we're all doing all of that. But it's funny, when I'm working, I'm serious. When I'm not working, I'm just Natasha. I'm the mom, the friend, the goofball, whatever it is that is there, that is me, kind of thing. The adventurer, the like, I am very curious about culture, and I do probably ask a lot of questions, which is probably very annoying. Um, but yeah, it's just like there is that curious part. So you have helped me to realize that, yeah, there's different perceptions, and I think everybody has this that we try to fit into, and it's like, no, I can only be authentically me, and 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 that's it, right? If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So yeah, 18 days could have definitely gone very, very wrong, but I was sure it was fine because I've seen the other side of you. So it's okay. I was like, she's funny. I can hang out with her. It's okay.
Yeah, I think it took me like 5 days to just ease in because of like, okay, we have to do this, 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 this. So I think that was the stress that was getting me going. But I think after we just reached Missouri and we were just like the mid of Missouri, I was like, huh, done. Now I don't need to arrange anything. It's all fixed and it's all done. So it was like, that's when you saw me ease up and like, I was just like, we
Hmm.
need a karaoke place. I want to go sing. I want to go dance. And then, yeah, I think we saw different sides of us because you have seen me as the student and I
Hmm.
have seen you as the teacher. And I think that was also something that even I was worried about. I was like, I don't know how we'll get along. I mean, it's 2.5 weeks and I want just things to be very smooth and easy because
Hmm.
like you go really bad if we just don't get along. And it just happened to just work very beautifully. And I honestly didn't know that. Oh my God, you are such a different person when it comes. I don't think there has been a night where we haven't laughed our heart out before we went to bed. We were
Oh
just
my
watching
goodness.
stuff that we've done throughout the day and we just end up laughing.
The
So
biggest
yeah.
thing that I remember laughing about is trying to find the freaking lights in India. Like, how do you have like 5 million switches and none of them work in the
For
same
the right
place?
right. So
So
yeah.
yeah, no, that was quite funny. No, I really, really love that. I'm very, very grateful. And yeah, I think we should do another one of these where we go through the temples and the vibrational frequencies of them. Would be really, really important. I think that will help others that are wanting to travel as well. And yeah, any other insights that you'd like to share? I don't think we have any questions. I haven't.
Whoever's watching this, if you can get on a flight with Natasha, go fly with her, travel with her. She's fun. You get to learn a lot about the Akashics from her. So yes, that was
Oh, that's
something
beautiful.
really for me.
Thank you,
Like
thank
I
you.
really wanted to deep dive into the Akashics, and I think thanks to you, traveling with you, I got to really deep dive into the Akashics. And honestly, after this trip, my readings have been on a different level. Like my clients have said
Mhm.
that, like it's different. Now you're giving us different kind of information. I'm like, yeah, it's all the activations and the integrations that happen post the travel. I remember you even asked me, you're like, how has this trip been for you? I think when we were in Rishikesh one night before we left, and I said I wouldn't
Mhm.
be able to until you actually leave, and that's when I
Mhm.
started integrating because that's when I'm just like, okay, now let me go back and see how this trip has been for me, and the integration took time this time. Anytime I come back from a temple, it does take time for me, but it was very beautiful. Like
Yeah,
it's been different now when I go into the Akashic Records. It's honestly very different. I get I don't know, I really don't know how to explain it. It's just like very different, more informational, more knowledgeable. The guidance is very quick, and the guidance for my clients is very, very to the point and quick, and I'm able to read them very quickly. So a 1 hour session, they get like a lot more information this time moving
yeah,
forward.
yeah. For me as well. I just want to say hi to Viviani and to Perry who have joined in and are watching. If you have any questions for us, we're happy to answer them. Absolutely, just put them in the chat. Um, for me as well, I just did my live this week, and sorry about the noise. I just did my live this week, and somebody had mentioned, "Oh, your energy has shifted," and I find that my meditations are so much deeper as well. And yeah, the support from my clients is quite different too. Yeah, and I'm happier because I'm able to support more energy. Because a lot of the times, even when I do my lives, it's not only for the people that are online, but it's for the souls and the spirits that come to listen around
Yeah,
everybody that's there and the ancestors that are there as well. So I'm so grateful to have gone through the physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual changes that I did in order to help with holding more space for sure.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So in all of that, I'm so grateful for you because I think I'm going to be a better practitioner, a better mom, a better friend, a better partner, a better everything. So thank you so much for that opportunity. I really appreciate it. And there are many things that are going to be birthed from this. Especially, I know my business is changing, and your
Yes.
business is changing as well, so that we can be of bigger service on a grander level. So for that, I'm very grateful for you.
Yes. And I am honestly looking forward to more trips and travel with you. We
Me
have
too.
so much more territory to cover within India, out of India, and I can't wait to get to tick those boxes.
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for following our journey. And if you have any questions, we can do another one of these where we'll go through the temples and we can answer questions. Actually, there's one question that we can answer in the next episode is why do we open up the Akashic Records in certain places and why do we not? So that was a great question that was asked, which is important. And the being human and having the human experience as well, which is you got to see my humanity as well and knowing that I'm not just spiritual, and that is, yeah, it's important. And you as a coach, that came up for us as well. So yeah, that is a great conversation that we can have too.
Yes, I
But
think we can definitely do a part 2 of this.
beautiful. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your kindness and your generosity and your family as well. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Okay.
Nice to
Bye-bye,
meet
everybody. See you
you.
so much.